Hi, in this tutorial we're going to look at rigging the mech and doing some basic animation. Before we do any of that, we need to have a look at how things are joined together and what object it belongs to what other object, etc. So let's do that. So we want the toes to be separate, the feet to be separate. I want this leg to be a separate item, so I need to go in, select that, P, separate by selection. I want all of that as one object. I want this, I want all of these four pieces here to be one, so they all have mirror modifiers on them, so if I select something and join it to something that doesn't have a mirror modifier, it can have a detrimental effect, but if everything has a mirror modifier, it won't make any difference. So I'm just pressing Ctrl J to join these things together. Okay, so that should be all one piece. This here, whoops, so you can see what happened there. So I joined an object so this object doesn't have a mirror modifier and this one does. If I join them the other way around, it won't make a difference, so you have to be careful of that. Now, yeah, we'll come back to that. Now, so we have to be careful with our mirror modifier, because this has geometry on both sides, so I need to cut this in half. So now I haven't got yeah, here we go. So all the geometry on this side needs to go. Okay, and then do the same down here. Okay, that one had a mirror modifier. Okay, so we need to do this sort of housekeeping before we so this and this, Control J, we're all going to move together. Now this is going to rotate around this, but this pin, or this, is part of the upper leg. Now we'll undo that. So this here has a subdivision surface modifier attached to it. So we'll apply that. This doesn't, so again, when you start joining things that do and don't have modifiers, you get funny results. Okay, and we have a funny result here, so this yeah, so this has been knocked off center, so G, X, that needs to go to there. And then we need to take that, so a little bit more modeling that I did not expect to have to do. That's okay. We may end up, yeah, with funniness. I need to unwrap that. Okay. Okay. That's not too bad, so long as it's the same on the other side. And it is. Grand. So again, this and this need to join. Okay. So we have this leg. Yeah, we'll join them together as well. Control J. So that's going to be on its own. Okay, so we need to, so Alt H. This back piece here needs to join in with the rest. Okay, now again we've got geometry on both sides of our mirror modifier. So I need to delete the geometry on this side. That's still there, okay, so that's all good. And then this chair, and I haven't UV unwrapped this chair, which is, so let's do that real quick. So we will go over here and go new, and we'll call this, I don't know, beam, and we'll just make that charcoal grey, and this we will unwrap, and we will make a new one. Whoops. And we'll call this seat, and we'll make it sort of a creamy kind of colour. Yeah, that'll do. So assign that. We have to unwrap that. And assign it. And do the same up here. So smart unwrap. Then assign. Now we don't really need to unwrap these because they're only base colors. And L. Smart unwrap it, but we'll make this the dark color. Now, let's just, so our seat has a slightly different look to it when it's inside. Okay. So, what objects have we got? We've got legs, we've got our weights, the rest of it, we've got shins, and we've got feet. Now, what we need to do is we need to apply these mirror modifiers to the legs, to everything basically, and to start putting in our bones. So let's go over to our modifier stack, and this has two subsurface modifiers on it. We don't need that, so I'm going to apply the mirror modifier. Then select this side here, and I'm going to go P, separate by selection. So now I can select the 2 feet individually. This actually, I'm going to apply this and then do the same. So this actually will stay with the foot, so I can join that together, and I can join those together now. So let's name these things, or we'll have trouble. So I'm going to call this mech foot dot L, and I'm going to call this mech foot dot or. So right and left. I'll call this toe dot L. That should be L. And this should be or. Right from left. And this should be toe dot or. So right foot, right toe, left foot. So again, I'm going to get rid of one of them, apply the mirror modifier, select it all, and separate by selection. So this should be mech shin dot L and mech shin dot or. These are my legs. Again, I'm going to apply my mirror modifier, select all of one side, P, separate by selection, and this is going to be leg dot L and then leg dot or. And this is okay, so this is going to make body is fine. I'm going to apply this and turn off these, and we'll go P, separate by selection. I'm going to call this weights dot L, weights dot or. Now, nearly there. We're gonna join the cockpit, and oh yeah, so we're gonna have to join all of this glass to the cockpit, and I'll have a look at what that does to my glass in a minute. I think this is one more, yeah, that one. Control J. Control J. No, I think that's them all. So let's just make sure our render still works. Okay. Now what we want to be able to do is, let's go into material mode. Let's stick that there very roughly. So rotate, oops. Solid, and rotate around 3D cursor and go or, yeah, so we'll be able to do that. Cool. And we'll call this mech cage is fine. Okay, so we are ready to animate. So I'm going to go file, save as, we'll call this mech stage 6. So that's only taken us 12 minutes to get it ready. Very important though, if it's not, if the mesh is not prepared correctly, when you start joining things, it will deform and change in predictable ways. And now we can have, particularly because these are separate objects here, it'll be much easier to animate. Okay, so let's just start with our animation. So we'll start with a single bone. There it is there, so let's just get it into the center. So Shift S, cursor to selected, Shift S, selection to cursor. I'm going to go over here and turn on X-ray so I can see it. It's called armature, we'll call it mech rig. And let's just make this our base bone, so or minus 90. We'll place this down here. Okay. Now let's go into edit mode. So I need a bone to be basically the heart of the ship. But if this is going to ever rotate, it'll rotate around here. So I need to place this here. So let's go in and have a look. So now I'm doing this by eye, but I'm trying to be fairly accurate. So if I ever want the cockpit to rotate down on the x-axis, I need it to be here because it'll rotate around these legs. So it's in the center, but it can rotate and the whole cockpit will rotate with it. Excellent. So Shift D and move this up here. So again, we want the cockpit to be able to rotate, so we'll place that here. Again, I could be more accurate, I could start snapping, but that should be enough. The size of this bone doesn't matter. It won't make it any better or worse at rotating. So at the moment we have 3 bones, so this will rotate the whole cockpit. this isn't doing anything at the moment, and this is going to open up and down this cage or this cockpit. Okay, so this is like the head bone. It's like a hat coming up and down. Now I need another one up here. So go back here and go Shift D and go or minus 90. No, we don't have to do that. And we're going to put this here. Now this is going to be for the weights, because the weights need to rotate. However, I need one for each weight, so I need to go GX and move that to there. Shift D, GX, and move that to there. Now we need to start naming these things. So this bone here is called bone 002, so we'll call this cage. We'll call this head, because that's what it is, and we'll call this master, and we'll call this weights dot or, and we'll call this one weights dot L. Now we're getting there. So let's go Shift D and move this down here. Now I've rotated that 45 degrees, and I'm going to place it here, and it's this point here that's important. So right in the middle. Again, I could snap it in if I wanted. I'm going to go G XX, no, G Y Y, G Z Z, no, G X X. Okay, let's do it by eye. I'm going to move this to here. And that's pretty good. I select that bone, and I'm going to move it into place. So G, X, move it to there. And I'm going to call that leg dot L, Shift D, G, X, leg dot or, and now I've got both of these selected at the same time because we want to extrude. E to extrude. And place this here. We zoom in. Perfect. So that's my ankle bone. I'm going to extrude into here. Extrude. Again, make sure we're in the right place for rotation. And extrude forward for the toe. Now, let's name those bones. So this is going to be shin.L, shin.or, and we'll call this ankle dot or, and ankle.L, and foot. Now the .or and the .L are really important. Did I do that? Oh, I did. Okay. That's not what I wanted. I made a mistake. So I need to move that back to there. And then extrude. E. Extrude. So now I have, this is the toe. .L, and then this will be toe.or. So the dot, the .or and the .L actually become very useful when we're animating. Okay, so let's just go with that for now. and one more bone to put in. So I want to select that and that, and I'm going to go E, and I'm going to call this IK.L, which stands for inverse kinematics. IK.4. Okay, and that's our rig done for now. That's all of our bones. And I'm going to go File, Save, and I'm going to go into Pose mode and show you a few things. So we can add in what are called bone constraints, and bone constraints are interesting in that they allow us to, limit the rotation or add in other properties. So I'm going to add in this thing here, inverse kinematic. I can determine a chain length. I can say mech rig, and I want to go IK L. Okay. Now actually, I tell you what we'll do, we'll just get rid of that for a minute. We'll show you this the simple way. So I'm going to turn on automatic inverse kinematics. So when I go G, this whole leg will move up. Okay, so actually that's probably the easiest way to do it for now, rather than doing constraints. So let's start linking things. So when I go into edit mode, I can select all the bones. The last bone selected in edit mode will be the active bone, and therefore the one that will be connected in object mode. So I'm going to go right click this, shift click on the skeleton, control P, select bone, and this is now the child of this bone here. So let's do the same here. Go into the skeleton. This is the bone we want to control part of the leg. Control P, bone. Back to the skeleton, select the foot, and we want this to follow the foot. Control P, bone. Okay, and go back to here. It's the toe, and Control P with bone, and we do the same on this side here. So select that bone, Control P, Control P with the bone, select the foot, Control P, bone, so that bone there, and then the shin, Control P, bone, back to the skeleton. Oop. Control P, bone. Now we get interesting. So I need to select this bone, Control P, bone, Control P, bone, Control P, bone. Then this needs to follow the head. Oops. Control P, bone. Now I don't know if that makes sense at all, what I've done there. So when I've gone into edit mode on the skeleton, I've selected a bone, then I've gone back into object mode, selected the object that I wanted to be the child of the bone I just selected, shift selected skeleton, Control P, selected bone, and I've done that again and again for all these items. Now on here, so I'm going to add a constraint to, I need to go into pose mode, to constraints, yeah. So I want to add a So I'm going to get this bone to point at this bone, the master. So I'm going to go track 2, make rig, and M is the master bone. And you can see what it does. So this will always point towards that master bone. Now I'll turn that off. So what we actually wanted to do is just point downwards. So we want to go limit rotation, and we don't want it to rotate on X. So we'll go minimum 90, maximum 90. Oh, so 270, is that it? There we go. So, and we do the same over here with this one. So limit rotation, and it's 270, 270. Okay, so they should always point down. Now, I have a little bit more work to do with this mesh. So I want this to be the child of the master bone. So when the master bone sorry, and the wrong tab here. So I want the master bone to be the parent. This one I want to always follow the head. So this one should be a child of the head. This bone here isn't the child of anything at the moment, but probably should be the child of the head, although I may have to change that. We'll see how that goes. It's the same with that one. And this needs to be the child of this leg. So .l and leg.or. Okay, the rest are connected, so their parenting is done for us. So now let's see if we can make this thing walk. Okay, so we've got an articulate leg, we've got a weight that always points down, and that looks pretty funky. Cool. And we do the same here. Now we shouldn't be going side to side, we can limit ourselves to Z, so that only moves up and down in the correct way. Okay, so let's go file, save, and this is rigged. And in the next video we will make him walk. Okay.